Last month, the online servers for World at War, Modern Warfare Reflex, Black Ops 1, and MW3 were finally permanently shut down on the Nintendo Wii. This came with absolutely zero warning or announcements from Activision. It was there one day and then gone literally the next. According to this video I watched by Casey, you can't even access any forms of the multiplayer, not even for offline bots training. The only content still accessible besides the campaigns is BO1 zombies, since World at War did not have any zombies on the Wii. So in honor of these weird little pieces of Call of Duty history finally going offline, I dug out my Wii and decided to play some Kino der Toten. If you're not very familiar with these games, I don't blame you, let me catch you up a little bit. The primary way of playing him is using the Wii's motion controls to aim and turn. Use the main Wii remote for that, and then the joystick on the nunchuck for moving around your character. There is an option to use a Pro controller, which is basically a bootleg Xbox controller, but I'm not a bitch, so I'm not going to use it. But as someone who hasn't used a Wii very much in a decade or so, I felt like a drunk toddler for the first 30 minutes of playing. Oh, and also no, your video isn't on a low resolution. The Wii only outputs 480p video, which I then had to stretch so it took up more than 30% of the screen. Sorry about that. By the way, my birthday's tomorrow, so a like would really be appreciated. Zombies content is really struggling right now, thank you gamers. So to the game itself, because the control scheme is weird, it's really uncomfortable to knife, so I grabbed the M14 off of the wall and hung out at the top of the staircase for the first couple of rounds. The mystery box is also right next to the spawn room, which is great because Wii Zombies in the early rounds is actually fucking hard. Whatever studio made this port did not take it easy on us. There's just as many zombies as the normal versions and just as much health. Using a motion control to HK21 might have been the weirdest experience I've had in a long time. My best way to describe any of this is, do you remember those games in arcades growing up? The ones where you used a big plastic gun to shoot at the Terminator or something while your character stands still? It's a little bit like that. Obviously training around zombies is different, and oh boy, we'll get there, but first we need to talk about Big Dick Stud Thunder Gun right here. Getting it this early is such a blessing because I had a few games before this where I got absolutely slapped around by like round 10 or 15 since my guns were terrible and I was still getting used to the game. But with that in my back pocket, I headed through the objectively correct side of the map, turned on the power switch, and bought some Juggernog that definitely spilled down my shirt because the bottle was way too far away. And look, as much as I've not been nice to this game so far, it's fucking impressive to be honest with you. The Wii is a slightly upgraded GameCube in terms of hardware, so the fact that a version of Kino der Toten was able to fit on here without removing significant amounts of content is really cool. I can definitely see why this port had a small group of people that still played it on a regular basis even up until a couple of weeks ago. There's even a Discord server where members would organize to get on at the same time and populate the servers a little bit. It's a shame that 5 and none of the DLC maps were released here because it would have been really interesting to see what they would have looked like. The 5 intro cutscene is actually in the files, so it did seem like there was plans to add it, but they just never did. By the way, while I was talking to you, you probably saw me buy Speed Cola and Quick Ride because, like I said a minute ago, this game is not easy by any means. I can't just fuck around with only Juggernog. It's not like the mobile ports where you could just drool on your screen and reach around 100 using mommy's credit card to buy extra revives. One difference though that was prompted by the lower quality hardware is that instead of the normal 24 zombies that can be on the map at one time, the Wii is limited to 16. This isn't super noticeable until the later rounds where you need to use a bit more ammo in the Thunder Gun since the overall zombie count per round is the same. That's why on round 13 I decided to have some fun by taking the Olympia from the spawn room and making it my first pack-punch weapon of the game. It turned out to actually be really difficult to aim. Turns out you need to be somewhat precise with it or else you'll end up with a very red screen and a raised heart rate. Generally speaking, guns are a little hard to aim when hip firing, which isn't really an issue when you've got a Thunder Gun to clap some cheeks, but regular guns do struggle a little bit. Camping with 3 friends definitely would have been so much fun here though. Everyone flailing their arms around like they've got Parkinson's trying to make it past round 20 would have been amazing. Speaking of that, in order to play properly, I had to set up the Wii sensor bar on my desk. I then had to sit about 7 feet away from it or else the motion just wouldn't get detected. When that happens, the game freaks out on you and you turn in the same direction until it detects motion again. There's also the Wii remote itself, which, well, yeah, we'll get into that in a minute. But for now, I was putting together some nice ass trains in the spawn room. I'm like the Michael Jordan of Wii Zombies if Michael Jordan was fat, white, and made YouTube videos for a living. And here's the point in the match where I reveal my secret to you guys. There is one major difference on this version compared to the regular version of Kino. In the room where the mystery box is next to spawn, there is a fire trap. Normally, it kills you very quickly aside from one tiny area where it doesn't damage the player. On the Wii though, the entire fire trap doesn't deal damage to you at all. The electric traps do, but for some reason the fire just does not. I can stand in here for 60 seconds and take no damage. To make things even better, I also got the ray gun from the mystery box. It's just so fitting too, because you can't have the Thunder Gun without the ray gun, like how you can't have peanut butter without jelly, play or Rushin video without the comments calling me dad. Don't worry, I'm still coming home. There's just not stores that sell my favorite brand of milk, so I need to keep looking. But with my newly found god powers of using the fire trap, we can finally start plowing through rounds like I plow through your dad. Basically what I need to do is keep the window on the safe side of the trap closed while the trap is running. Once it's out, for now we need to train around as many zombies as I can without taking it down as we wait for the trap to recharge. Well, just like Icarus, I flew a little bit too close to the sun, became too ambitious, and was punished for my sins. With the last crawl of round 23, my Wii remote died. I was frantically trying to turn it back on to no avail as I was getting slapped around. Eventually I popped the batteries in and out, which turned the remote on long enough for me to move a few feet before it died again and I took my first down. Really wish the live commentary was recorded here because I was freaking out over this. The fact that the game doesn't pause when the Wii remote turns off is just mind-blowing and should be considered a crime against humanity. The only batteries I have are the rechargeable ones, so after waiting another 90 minutes or so, I came back and kept on playing, except I actually forgot to start the recording again, which means all of the footage between rounds 23 and 31 is gone, including my second down. When the recording does resume, it starts back with me heading to Pack-a-Punch with my ray gun. I did this since my thunder gun ammo was low, and maybe killing a couple of zombies with the ray gun would drop a max ammo since the thunder gun can't produce drops. Well, the next round was Hellhounds, which made that trip entirely fucking pointless, but now at this point my goal has actually changed a little bit from nostalgia to taking revenge. The last time I played zombies on the Wii, I died on round 49 like 2 hordes away from finishing the round. It left a really sour taste in my mouth, and not in a good way, so fuck it, we need to get to round 50 even though I've already had 2 downs and this game is only going to get harder from here. I said this in the beginning, but the developers didn't make this version any easier. That means now that we're headed into the mid-30s, spawn rates are really starting to increase, all of the zombies are runners, and we've got a lot of health to deal with. My Wii was also starting to make some really uncomfortable noises. There was this really obvious stuttering on round 34, plus the fact that I was convinced it was going to fling my disc back at me on some Final Destination shit. Even with the risk to my own life, I still found enough time to flex my training skills again. Seriously, I was getting way too comfortable doing this for only being on here for a couple hours. Maybe the motion controls aren't as bad as I thought they were. Either that or the thunder gun is just so brokenly overpowered that it masks my aging boomer gamer skills. Funnily enough, my arm was actually hurting during this game because of needing to hold it in a weird position so that the Wii sensor bar didn't have a stroke and end my game. One of my favorite things to think about while playing these weird obscure versions of zombies is the idea that somewhere in like Siberia there's a person who only plays this game. They're the best player in the entire world with skills that normal people wouldn't even be able to comprehend, and they've reached like round 500 but no one's ever gonna know about it. That's gonna be me in 20 years after my brain finally snaps from all the stupid challenges I do on this channel and go to live in the wilderness. But just to get back on track a little bit, let me ruin your day. In the Wii version of BO1 Zombies, you can reload the thunder gun without having to empty the whole magazine. You were actually able to do this on the other versions at launch too, but it was patched out within a couple of weeks. So yes, now you'll never be able to unsee that. You're welcome. Now we can skip forward a bit to round 45 where we actually get a Hellhound round. I haven't talked about these at all because they're the same as normal, but good to at least give them a little bit of recognition, especially since this could mean that round 49 is also a Hellhound round. The last few rounds after this were actually a little bit nerve-wracking because as much as the fire trap is a big help, these rounds are still hard. Because of the 16 zombie limit and not perfect training on my end, more thunder gun ammo is being used up than I'm really comfortable with. Plus the ray gun is basically doing nothing now, needing about 10 shots to kill one zombie, and trying to get a whole horde of zombies to get hit by a ray gun is just not gonna happen. Despite that, we keep pushing on through, and hey, there we go. Round 49 is a Hellhound round. Now we can have some fun. On round 50, I wanted to open up the back alley since we haven't even been out there yet. I tried to do some training here, but it went really poorly since the area is just a little bit too small. There's also the fact I accidentally opened the gate while trying to sprint because they're binded to the same buttons on the Wii remote. Why the fuck's that a thing? After a few good hordes, multiple failed thunder gun shots led to a down. Yeah, that happens here too, which is really interesting and I wonder why. I did escape the alley though with my life, but only barely. Sadly, I was pretty much out of points from buying the traps and the doors, and it just really wasn't going very well. And while I was trying to get enough points for Juggernog, I got stuck on the ledge here and died. We still hit round 50 though, and I really enjoyed this little throwback. I hope you guys did too. Now go watch this video on Xbox 360 Black Ops 3 where I broke the high round world record on there. Thanks for watching, love you, bye bye.